Most people I've met, including myself, certainly for years and years, for decades and decades, are filled up with stuff, filled up with doing, filled up with themselves. And let me tell you, the divine loves an empty cup. Our emptiness, in many ways, should be the focus of our spiritual endeavour. Not to fill up with more spiritual stuff, not to seek to gather more information. We're already full. Everybody I meet is already full. And there's no space inside. There's no emptiness inside. It's filled with doing, filled with information, filled with conditioning, filled just with stuff, an endless amount of stuff. And you see it everywhere. A desire for accumulation of more. It doesn't have to be more money, but it can be. It doesn't have to be more stature, but it can be. It doesn't have to be more power, but it can be. All of these things are just the collection of more stuff, more information, more knowledge. It's an insatiable thirst, an insatiable appetite we have that drives us. Come on. That drives us for more and more and more, as if that moreness in a certain way is going to get us somewhere. But it doesn't. It doesn't get us anywhere particular. Maybe temporary relief, like addiction, doesn't really get us anywhere, but some idea of temporary relief. And so then, with grace, we come to the spiritual path. And then we're stumped. Because all we've ever known is filling up. All we've ever known is more. All we've ever known is the density of our inner being. We're so dense, crowded in, no room for the divine, no room for emptiness, no room for silence, no room for stillness, no room for a divine natural intelligence to flow in. But we don't talk about that. So we seek more. If I only get this bit of knowledge, then I'll be closer to awakening. If I only get this piece of doing, more meditation, then I'll be closer to the divine. But actually, it doesn't work like that. Seek only to empty yourself of what you have accumulated. And what does that mean? That means all the beliefs, all the conditioning, all the inheritance, all the stuff held on to, everything. No, hold on. Everything you've become, all the scaffolding that the self is built on, seek only to empty yourself of that. And the more you empty yourself of that, the more space there is. Look at these fall colours. The yellows are really beautiful. So that's it. We spend our days filling ourselves up. And then something happens. And maybe we start to realise that we can't go on filling ourselves up. And so we turn our attention to what does it mean to empty ourselves. A difficult task in the filled up world in which we live. But that is the task, friend. That is the task. See, it might be worth asking if you're on the spiritual path, and this resonates in any way. If you're on the spiritual path and this resonates anywhere with you, to ask some fundamental questions of yourself. What does emptiness mean to me? What am I full of? Is there any space for something else? Is there any space for what we might call the divine or natural intelligence or God? And what does it, if I'm full, then how am I going to empty myself of myself? What can I empty myself of, and how am I going to do that? Now, I could give you a million kind of methods, if you like, or practices, from meditation to shaking yourself up and then sitting in silence. But it's like you have to find it, you have to seek it, you have to want it. First maybe begin with some awareness that maybe you're full, and maybe more spiritual information, more accumulation of information is not actually the answer. It's an assistance, it's a bridge, it's a doorway. But still, we must go through the doorway and face whatever is on the other side of the doorway. And that usually means a room, a temple, which is full of stuff accumulated over the years. And rather than adding something more to it, spiritual or psychological or whatever, seek to get everything out of that room by hook or by crook, one way or another. And then see what happens, and then see what remains. What remains when we empty ourselves of ourselves?